the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome back, everybody, and surprise, surprise, incursions are out. Shouldn't be a shocker to really anybody. It's kind of what we expected, right? And look, I appreciate the idea of the mechanic, but we knew a rant session was coming. Rev was just going to have to do another rant video. Now, if you've missed it, here is the announcement that was made yesterday about why incursions was pulled. And we'll talk about that in this video, because guess what? We're going to have to gripe a Scopely together. You and me together. Shocking, I know. Anyway, here's the word from the man himself, the myth, the legend, and not his fault, but Eco. Commanders, we want to thank everyone for the feedback on Infinite Incursions and for letting us know about some of the issues you've been experiencing. Oh, you need... Our goal always is to provide an experience that is first and foremost fun for everyone playing Star Trek Fleet Command. With the issues you've been experiencing, we feel it diminishes the experience of what Infinite Incursions is supposed to be and what we want it to achieve. Yeah. No Sherlock. Due to this, we'll be stopping the current incursion event in APAC and delaying the future event incursions for the US and EU servers until these issues are resolved, aiming for later this week or early next week. To all commanders on the servers with Infinite Incursions event currently running, we will be sending out rewards for some of the events that are being stopped short. Tomorrow, we'll be running Cosmic Cleanup and Parabellum instead of Infinite Incursions for everybody. Enjoy! And that's where we are. So, Infinite Incursions failed dramatically. Now, for those curious how it failed, let me just go ahead and give you a brief rundown if you were not part of an APAC server. So, intentionally, and I must give positive credit to Scopely for this, intentionally they layered this out and rolled it out in stages. They were not going to try to have everybody do it at once. So day one, July 11th, was only going to be the APAC servers, which is only 8 servers. So it was kind of like a test bed to see, is this going to work? Oh God, I don't know. So the US and EU didn't have to have it yet unless it worked correctly. So credit to be given for rolling it out in a stage. However, some of the basic failures were event scoring wasn't working really at all. Raiding was broken. Like the actual raid mechanic was broken. You could crack a base but the ships wouldn't die. And there's also this little thing that happened where you could infinitely raid resources and it never actually robbed resources from the base, but you can just keep drawing resources. Anyway, yeah, raiding got broken completely. And you also had just issues with the events themselves having pretty low payouts overall. Now we'll hit on that in a little bit. Now, once again, I have to give credit to some aspects of this, like rolling it out in stages. I like that. It prevented a lot of people from experiencing hefty issues. And the basic form of the mechanic worked beautifully. The ability for you to go from one server to another worked great. And we saw it across APAC. You were able to transfer over if you wanted to. And here's the problem. You would have these 6-hour windows we talked about, but people were transferring ASAP. So you basically just had people swap servers instead of it being time regulated when you could actually move to a server. But that part worked well. But here's what didn't work well and what many of you expected. The massive influx of people into one server or 2 servers essentially caused a tremendous amount of problems. And the basic way to explain this, now many of you who are in IT, I was talking to software devs this morning about this issue, play the game. You know, my level of IT was never that high. I was an IT director for a small MSP, so I did have to deal with database management, but I was not the level of the coder guy or anything. But what I can tell you, and one of the basic problems that this caused is multiple database inquiries. Anytime that you're going to have this type of structure where one server invades another, that's 2 servers. Basic math, everybody. So double the amount of inquiries. So we have multiple inquiries to the database, as in more people. So everybody counts for 2 now. And for all of you guys and gals wondering, well, hey, wouldn't that be inefficient for a game that constantly has issues with lag and rendering data from servers due to number of currencies and things in boxes? And yes, that's exactly the problem. So, shocker, the game failed. Couldn't run it even on a limited number of servers, and we even started to see problems leak out into servers that were not participating in incursions because of these issues. And I still believe that the basic form of incursions, like the base idea, is great, but it was basically doomed to fail in my opinion. But we'll get to that more in the end. Let's talk about the events themselves. So here was the overall. I'll say that some of the individual events, I like kind of some of the scoring mechanics, I'll be honest, but the overall value for your server winning was terrible. 2 Una shards. Now you get this every 6-hour period, so maximum of 8. 2 Una shards, 750 of the new station currency. in the next comp. Yay! Now remember, it was set up in attackers, defenders in phases, so yeah, I wasn't excited about it. The rewards were paltry, and this was said by a member of the community that I agreed. I even made a little meme here. Let the Ferengi say it. Rules of acquisition number 109. Dignity in an empty sack is worth the sack. If you want me to spend hours and hours and hours in your game for my server to win, you better give me a heck of a lot more than this. That was paltry rewards. It wasn't even highly incentivized to help your server win. Let's talk about individual events though. I will say the scoring of the events I like. For example, this is the incursion offense, all out attack, and you had the all out defense version, which was those PvP systems that you had set up. One thing I liked about this was point scoring was structured by type of ship you were destroying or losing to. And you got positives either way. So if you lost to a Franklin, points. If you won versus a Franklin, points. So this incentivizes higher level players to hit higher level players. And this particular screenshot came from the 32 through 39 bracket. So we had better bracketing than I expected. And it was set up in a scoring metric that honestly made it a lot more fair. So if you were to go out and destroy an ISS jellyfish, which if you were bringing an ISS jellyfish to these fights, yikes. But it made it pretty easy. You basically killed 3 ISS jellies and you finished out your SMS. So the actual structure of the events was surprisingly better than anticipated. Now I will say the payouts far right were pretty meh, but the scoring was better than I was expecting it to be. So that's a positive. And hopefully everybody can at least agree on that point, that the structure was how it should have been. It was not completely open-ended. It was not completely just dominated by damage done. It was structured in ways that some of the events actually were useful for players. So I like that. But let's continue with what could have been better. There's a lot of things that could have been better. Several things. One, don't even try to open up this mechanic. I guess basically, I put this, so this was the lose metrics. Here's what it comes down to me personally. I'm not trying to be a hater. This game was not able or ever going to handle this well. That's why everybody knew coming in Incursions was not really looking forward to it. It wasn't as much the aspect of the PvP being open-ended. I think they helped address that with some of the events. It's the fact that nobody realistically expected this game, which has constant stability issues and constant inconsistency with event rollouts, to ever have success. The idea is brilliant. And I was having conversations with Eco, like, man, he was like, we haven't tried things like this before, but we have. We've done server transfers. The basics of this mechanic is server transfers. It's existed. That wasn't the problem. The ability to go from one server to another server is not what caused the issue. It's that the event was so grandiose and it was designed to pull data from multiple sources when a game struggles to pull data from one source right now. Your client pulling their data from one server is a struggle bus for many players already. Then you tried to double the workload. Of course there was a failure. Here's what it comes down to. And even though I greatly appreciated the gift chest, I thought this was a fantastic gift chest. Now this is a little bit a player in the 40s and what they got, but still, the gift chest was fantastic. You oopsied, I give them credit for communication. Was great. Communication was fantastic. Good job on communication. You admitted you failed, you pulled back, you gave out a very valuable chest. But here's what the game honestly needs. Here's the truth. You don't want to hear it. And honestly, the people that need to hear it are the higher ups in Scopely, the people making the decision calls based on, hey, we've got to earn X amount of money, because that's what it comes down to. You need to take a break from new content. You need to take time to stabilize the game. Or as we like to tell Jess, an amazing moderator that she is in the official Discord, fix your code. This game needs to be stable, needs to be lag-free as much as possible. As I reiterate to players all the time, it is impossible for an MMO with hundreds of thousands of active daily players, millions of accounts on over 100 servers to run perfectly every day. I realize that's not possible, but you can have a baseline functionality and stability. You can have better tools that your systems operate with. Quality control can stop allowing things to continually pass through in events that were fixed months ago. At the end of the day, what this game finally needs after 3 years is a break. It needs a break. You need to stop focusing on new content every month, because that's how the game makes its money. And I'm not trying to stop Star Trek Fleet Command from making money. I want them to make money, but I'll tell you what'll make them more money. A game that's finally stable, able to handle all the new things that they want, and you'll see that number trickle back up. happy players are happy spenders. And the problem that we're in right now is that the game can't handle a lot of the cool ideas you want. And you get excited about some of these things. You get excited about incursions, and I get that. But if this fails, what makes you think new things like when Deep Space Nine comes out and we're talking about Alliance star bases and new ships, what's not going to cause that to be a problem? We're continually adding in things to the game that are part of the problem. New currencies and the fact that every time I load a button, it has to load everything that qualifies here. Everything has to be loaded at every time I click anything. It's a problem. The actual game itself needs to be stabilized and the infrastructure itself needs to be built upon and made better. If you take time to fix the bug fixes and to actually get some consistency in the game, you won't have what happened with the Apex servers when Incursions rolled out, because to this, I will die on this hill and people can disagree with me, and that's fine. I truly, truly believe that this idea is a great idea for the game. I didn't ever expect it to actually work. I am happy that the base mechanic worked, but the base mechanic was the easy part. We know that we can transfer servers. The technology for that was invented 2 years ago when you allowed level 1 through 12 players to go to another server. That's not new. The only thing that you're doing here is a little bit more complicated copy paste. A level 12 player is easier to copy paste to a new player than a level 60. It's still the same infrastructure. What is still struggle busting to this day has been the #1 problem throughout 2022. Events and rollout. Those are the problems. The actual infrastructure of this game is the problem. Not the cool new mechanics, which work. New ships seem to work fine. Transferring servers, we know it works. It's been working for years. But at the scale that you're wanting to take this game, you need to actually slow down, stop, and fix some problems. Be more efficient. That's all there is to it. Like, this rant doesn't have as much vitriol as the one I did last night live on Twitch, but I was much angrier then. Now I'm just kind of like in a conceited state of defeat because I want stuff like this to work. I think the game needs this type of stuff to grow and be the game that you want it to be that lasts 5, 10 more years. It needs this, but it can't do it right now. And when you try to do it on the smallest server sample possible, it epically failed. It couldn't even make it the 24-hour period. You couldn't even band-aid it to fix it. You had to completely stop it. And that was less than a dozen servers. The US has, what, 70-something active servers, 60-something active servers? EU, a little bit less. Combined, they're well over 100. You couldn't get a small sample size of servers to stabilize before everything just started running amok. Pause on incursions. Pause on new content. Fix the game. I will still spend, if you do a break month where we just do an old piece of content, I don't care what it is. Rerun Lower Decks. I honestly don't care. Make a generic thing where we do Faction Hunt, Crucible of War, Borg mini events all month long. Spend that entire time with game design fixing crap. I don't care. I'll spend money still. I will. I'll buy battle passes and elite packs. I'll be like, yes, they're fixing the game. I'm going to reward them for doing what they should do. But until that happens, great ideas will continue to be great failures. And that's the state that we are in the game right now. So that's why Infinite Incursions is out. And hopefully things get fixed and make it better. But of course I want to know what you think. Maybe this is just the random ramblings of Rev and they're just stupid. What do you think about yesterday's Incursions? Now that you know what happened, what transpired, and why it failed, what do you think? What would you advise them to do? I think that, and we've been asking for it for a long time, and I'll be honest, I've said, look, they're probably never going to do it. But as somebody reminded me earlier, never hurts to ask. And honestly, 2-point demand. And the official moderators on the Discord can tell you the same thing. Other CCs can tell you the same thing. The cry for the game to be fixed is louder than ever. And I think they should, because there's actually some really, really cool ideas the game has. When I tell y'all some of the stuff that they want to do in the next 12 months, I'm so excited about it. But my confidence level is low. Let me know what y'all think. Live long and prosper. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. I'll catch you on the next one. We outie.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.